This is me.
Just kidding, this is me. Hello, my name is Amanda and welcome to my channel, Always Popular, where I will be talking about pop culture, music, film, drama, and fan videos. Hello, and welcome back to my channel, Always Popular. I'm Amanda, your host, and let's jump into this week's episode. Lately, in the entertainment world, there is nothing more crazier than finding out celebrities' true colors or exposing the dark side of the industry. If you grew up as a 90s kid or 2000s teen, you know exactly where I'm heading to. The newest binge-worthy documentary, Quiet on Set, has been raising eyebrows and upsetting a generation of kids who grew up with a certain generation of superstars like Drake Bell, Amanda Bynes, Giovanni Samuels, and Jamie Lynn Spears. If you couldn't have the heart to finish watching it, I will loop you in. So today, who is really to blame for all this trauma, Dan Schneider or Nickelodeon? Let's dig into some vital information. Now, before digging very deep into this complicated and wild video, I want to say this is going to be a heavy video for anyone who has experienced sexual harassment or harm. So here we go. Now, this all started years ago with a child actor from All That, Angelique Bates, who started to speak out against Nickelodeon and Dan Schneider for the problems she had on the show when she was younger. When she first spoke out about Nickelodeon, apparently no one believed her side of the story. It wasn't until 2018 until most of the allegations about him came out. Around this time, child actor Jeanette McCurdy, who played Sam on both of the hit shows iCarly and Sam and Cat, called out Dan for his behavior, and he was referred to as the creator in her memoir. Also, Nickelodeon reportedly offered her $300,000 to be silent on her time on Nickelodeon, and she refused the money and spoke about it anyway. And since 2018, the downward spiral of Dan Schneider was happening. Back in 2014, people noticed one night when Dan got awarded the Lifetime Achievement Award at the Kids' Choice Awards that Jeanette wasn't there. People thought that it was weird that she wasn't there. Anyway, when Jeanette released her memoir, I'm Glad My Mom Died, her story unraveled and caught everyone's attention about the exposure of Dan and how he treated her. Flash forward to now, here we have a 4-part documentary series, Quiet on Set, that's getting all the millennials and Gen Z people talking up a storm about all of this on social media. However, was Dan the real problem or was it the network? It was reported by Angelique Bates, who was on the first 2 seasons of All That. She had gotten into a controversy with some staff backstage and it resulted in her being yelled at by Dan. However, reportedly someone on the cast at the time thought it would be funny to throw milk on her when it wasn't in the script. Dan laughed at the joke and Angelique said she lost it on set. So yes, it was Dan's fault for laughing at jokes like that and not realizing she wasn't okay with it. Along with other jokes on All That was mentioned on Quiet on Set. However, one thing I'd like to bring up is that not all of the abuse came from Dan. Another thing to consider is that Dan was not the creator of All That. He was the creator of other Nickelodeon shows, like how Jeanette mentioned. However, it wasn't until season 3 that he was an executive producer on All That. All That was created by Mike Tolan and Brian Robbins. However, other shows like Drake and Josh and Zoe 101 were his first 2 show creations. Another successful kid show and another actress fed up with Dan. Around the time of 2022, child actor Alexa Nicholas, who played Nicole on Zoe 101, said she was reportedly getting bullied behind the scenes of the show. Now for Alexa's story, Dan was a villain in her story. However, it wasn't always Dan's fault for not doing anything to help or protect her on set. He did a lot of shit like yelling at her and stuff. However, the real villain in her trauma on set was Jamie Lynn Spears. Back in 2005, a 14-year-old Jamie Lynn Spears was casted as Zoe on Zoe 101, and prior to that, on All That on season 8 and 9 as a main cast member. However, mainly because of Jamie and other bullying from other cast members, Alexa's agent helped her break her contract and got her released from Nick. Also, during this time, she was ganged up on by Britney Spears on set as well, mainly because Jamie manipulated her older sister into believing she was the one being bullied on set. She was specifically told by Dan when she was on Christy Carlson a Romano's podcast, Vulnerable. This is not Nicole 101, this is Zoe 101. Of course, favored in Jamie, however, Alexa was a supporting actress, so she should have mattered. In Alexa's case, Dan added fuel to the fire and didn't protect her, and neither did the Nickelodeon crew. However, it's not their fault that Jamie was a bitch to her. Also, I'm not on Dan's side, nor am I defending him. However, Dan is only the creator of the show, not the hiring manager. He came up with the characters and the storyline. So in this case, I would say it's Nickelodeon's fault to hire Jamie in the first place. And who was rumored to be in the most unlikable character on the show back then? It was Jamie's. So I guess the rumors are true. She's a pain in the ass on the show, as she is in real life. And speaking of hiring people, it was Nickelodeon's fault for hiring 3 child predators on their shows over time. The 3 main cases on the documentary were Brian Peck, Jason Handy, and Easel Channel. I mean, don't you think they saw their background checks? They never should have been hired in the first place. That wasn't Dan's fault either. Everything was Nickelodeon's fault. Also, another thing that happened on Zoe 101 was the supposed sexual act on one of the episodes that was mentioned in the documentary. When the character Nicole squirts out some goo on Jamie's face, one of the male actors at the time behind the scenes said it looks like a cum shot. Now, for anyone that watched the show growing up, just keep in mind all the main males who were on the show were in between the ages of 14 to 15 years old. Don't you think it's a little odd that any of them knew about something that's sexual at the time of the show? That sounds like someone is a little too experienced to be on that show. Just saying. And lastly, actress Raquel Lee, who was a supporting actress on the Amanda show, she said she got pissed off after several takes of Amanda Bynes spitting water on her and another actress during the skit of The Literals. She was not happy with the skit at all. The director of the show said, "Listen, Raquel, breathe in, breathe out. She's the star of the show." So similar to Alexa's situation. Felt like she didn't matter either. Also in the documentary, Brian Hearn, another actor from All That, and his mom said that it was racist. However, once again, that wasn't Dan's fault either. That was someone else. Sadly, by the end of season 1, she was no longer going to be on the show at all, and then she was replaced by Josh Peck. All in all, for my final thoughts, plenty of shit went on behind the scenes of all these shows. However, equally, Dan Schneider and Nickelodeon are to blame for both of all the trauma left on all these kids and teen stars. Before I go, just remember one thing. Dan would be nothing without Nickelodeon and never would have become the Nickelodeon's golden boy. If anyone has more power than Dan Nickelodeon. If you want more drama on Dan and Nickelodeon, I definitely recommend checking out Salone Hook's channel for more in-depth videos and podcasts. Thanks for sticking around and watching my video, and I'll see you in the next episode.